This week is all about the preparation of raw material into components for making trim. There's my pile there. And I laid the Luan down on the primary suite bedroom so it's nice and smooth and even. All right, let's get into it. Morning. Well, only barely. I had a little bit of a, I don't want to say late start, but a lot of errands to run this morning, including going to the dentist and, you know, all that stuff. We're going to get right into just going through this stack of trim, doing a quick sand on it, getting some poly on it, and yeah, that's all it's going to be today, is just polying, I think. It's pretty late in the day already, and I have a lot to poly, so I'm just going to crank up the music and give it a go. And I must just block this whole process right out of my brain. Because it always surprises me just how incredibly painstakingly long this takes. So many steps involved. And this is just the first coat. Well, I'm gonna wash up my brush and roller, and I'm out of here. Morning. Tuesday, and we have a full day today. I'm here on time. But it's gonna be a full day of, you know, all of this. So I'm sorry, but it's just not going to be that entertaining. Well, there's no other way to get through this pile of polying other than to just bear down and do it. So here I go, bearing down. What I'm thinking here is I'm going to walk you through my process. In between actually polying the boards, I like to cover up my brush, roller, and container with a rag. It just really slows down the process of the poly reacting. So we do that. And then when I'm picking my next set of boards, I'm also culling the pile. So going through, see if there's any damaged boards or anything like that. So far, I don't know how many boards were into it, but we have 2 here that are unusable to me in this process, but I will save them because we have to do jam extensions, and we'll get into that later. Hopefully we'll get into that in this video. But this one here, it was actually not milled completely. So the ends are wider at both ends, and it's super narrow in the center, so that doesn't do me any good. And it's an unfinished or unjointed edge, so that doesn't do me any good. And then this one it's taken a lot of damage for whatever reason. Chances are just in the process of mill work, you know, when they're transferring boards from one machine to another or whatever. So it's just taking too much damage. It's not any good for that, but still is good for jam extensions. So on the good boards, I am looking for the amount of blue stain that's here. So you have this here, which is totally natural in pine. So that's telling me this board was, you know, farther to the outside of the edge of the log, which doesn't really matter for what we're doing. And then I'm looking for any sort of knots that are missing. We have these lines here which are from the way it was stickered. And then you have the natural colors coming up. So I might be able to sand that out, but there's one over here I won't be able to sand out. So this will have to be a back side. And I have noticed that there's some knots that are just absolutely beautiful in some of this wood, and I'd like to put a bunch of those boards together if possible and trim out one room with nothing but really ornate knot work. Now my poly process, I do things very specifically as well. The goal really is to minimize the amount of sanding you have to do on round 2. And another way to do that after sanding it in round 1 is to have a sequence of events on how you poly the board. So the first thing I'm going to do is poly the edges. And so I don't need to fully load the roller, just the tip of it. Now those are hit. Now I'll fully submerge the roller and we'll get the tops. Now you have to really pay attention to how the poly is drying and how fast. That'll determine on or depend on the type of poly that you purchase. I really enjoy using this polyacrylic. It doesn't do that yellowing effect to the pine and will still allow the pine to naturally patina, but it happens slower. You have to jump for joy, ready or not. These are the things I can breathe without. Come on, I'm talking to you, so come on. It's super easy to clean up. It's water-based, so now that we have actual running water inside the house, that's helpful. So now I have 3 sides poly that I want to. Now I'm going to hit it with a brush, and I do that in the same order. I hit the sides first, up here. The brush overhangs the face, and when it does that, it creates these ridges. And you don't want to have to sand those ridges out later. So we hit the sides first, and what we're doing is we're knocking down all the bubbles and any runs that happened or drips, and just spreading it all out more evenly. And those bubbles happen on the surface because of the roller. These are the things that we care about, so come on. I'm talking to you, so come on. Commercial! Piss off, commercials! Another one bites the dust. Another one bites the dust. Here I am, I feel like a hurricane. Yeah, here I am, brought to you like a hurricane. Yeah! Good morning, back for another day of sanding, and polying. Ran around this morning, including stopping by and visiting the boys that did the sheetrock, and checking out their next job site, and just BSing for a few minutes. Yeah, it's just another day of the same old thing. This is the part of the project that's just, it's necessary, but it just grinds on you. But there's only one way to get it done, and that is to move forward. I don't have the 5/4 material to make the stoops, so I can't actually trim out a window yet. So how am I gonna work this day? What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? I guess just do the 1x6. Hopefully I get a call from Ollie saying that the 5/4 is ready, and then get that round 1 done. And then by the end of the week I can round 2. Yeah, I don't think we're getting any trim on at all this week, because tomorrow I'm just running around. I don't know if I'll even be here at all. Okay, let's commence. So last week I was looking for this ladder and I couldn't find it for the life of me. So just now I was thinking about some other projects I could do around here to help, you know, make this more entertaining for you guys. So I started running through my project list and I started thinking about the boiler. Is there anything else on the boiler that needs to be done? And my light bulb turned on. Because I remember I had to re-watch the video this morning that I put out on Tuesday because of someone else's comment that I didn't quite understand. And I saw the ladder in that video on the outside of the building. Sure enough, there it was. Of course now it's, you know, soaked and covered in snow and ice and whatnot. But yeah, it'll dry up. It's fine. Oh, randomness. Whew. Now as I'm doing this mindless task, I'm looking at these floors, you know, between the boards, and trying to remember what this space looked like when I first bought this property. And it's hard, honestly. It is so incredibly different than the way it was. I mean, there was a bathroom here. That doorway didn't even exist. There was, it was all blocked off. Actually, the doorway existed, but it was blocked off. And there was a kitchenette over here, and there was a door to the outside right there. It just completely different. In fact, I'm gonna have a look at it. That one has its level issues. Yeah, but Lola isn't exactly pleased with the plans that he had. But look at all that stuff. And there's all kinds of just stuff. The roof on the house. Now, what are you watching? Oh, it's just watching that first video, trying to give myself some motivation. This thing has come a long way. Yeah, that's an understatement. Hey, do you remember that there was an addition on the backside of this?
Right.
2 more rooms that were back there that we tore off.
Man, I've forgotten about those. Could you imagine having to do enough trim for all of that as well?
Yeah, no, thank you. I'm good. In fact, on that note, I'm gonna go ahead and, good idea, finish working on these. If you haven't seen that first video, you may wanna, you know, at the end of this one, go back to the channel and have a look at that. And if you haven't subscribed, have a look at the channel trailer. It kind of describes what I'm all about and why I'm doing this project to begin with. If you are subscribed, thank you so much. I truly appreciate you continuously watching these videos. And, oh, if you are gonna go view the first video for the first time, I apologize. My style of filming is completely different now. Kind of like this house. Complete transformation. All right, I'm gonna get back to work.
I did it. I made it through the pile. And I still don't have my 5/4 sills, or stoops, unfortunately. So I'm not really sure what to do about that, but that's a tomorrow problem now. This is all gonna be dried and ready for second coat tomorrow. So I'm gonna clean things up and maybe set up for another project.
Good morning, it's Friday, and it is a beautiful wintry day. We have about 5 new inches of snow, which we've desperately been wanting. At least me. I mean, I know there's people around here that complain about it, but man, winter is a wonderful, wonderful thing. Anyway, so I'm gonna go out, clean that mess up, and then we're gonna, do some more polying. And I picked up some floor samples. Maybe I'll show you those. All right, we'll go do some shoveling. Well, good morning. Wait, we already did that part. I bet you thought I was going to show you a whole bunch of me shoveling out there, didn't you? Didn't you? All right, here's some. That's enough of that.
Trim boards. Well, these are going to be stoops or sills, depending who you are and where you're working. I wanted 5/4 by 4 so that I can mill these down to whatever I need them to be. But the 5/4 part is the important bit. And if you think about it, 5/4 is just 1 1/4 inches. Why in carpentry we use that term? I don't know, but we do. So I left these sides rough cut because I didn't need them to be milled down perfectly. And quite honestly, at a mill, they typically, even if they did mill them, they wouldn't be quite right to do what we need to do. And we'll go through that whole process probably next week. But this is material that I picked up, what was that, yesterday? And it's been inside here, so it's nice and warm. And now we can just go through our normal process of sanding and polying. Whew. Sanding, poly, sanding, poly. And then we're gonna, do some work upstairs in the primary suite there. I want to lay the Luan down on the floor. So that's finished. It's fine. Pretty consistent. Good job, Lee. The fellow who does the milling is a fan of the channel, so his name's Lee. Hi, Lee. I wish there was another way to make this more entertaining. Yeah, that's a little soft. So I chose to use the orbital sander this time because this rough cut lumber, having been plain, still had a bunch of tear out in the face. And that could be any number of issues. It's the dead of winter. Maybe the board was too cold. Or maybe there's too much moisture content. I don't know why it had more tear out than normal, but it did. So, in order to get that smooth, to do it by hand with a little block would have taken forever. So I opted to just sand all of them in one shot so that I didn't have to deal with the dust in between layers. Because as soon as you get poly on this stuff, the dust is just going to settle on that poly, and because there's really no way to fully encapsulate all of the dust. It has this little collection container on the side, and it actually does a pretty darn good job, honestly. I sanded everything in one shot, wiped it all down in one shot, and I polyed all in one shot. There's some young families around, and I keep seeing sled marks out in the sidewalk area. And I looked down at the end of the hill just now, and I see them sledding from the street side down into a parking lot, just having a good old time. Man, it's awesome to see families out doing stuff together outside. Just utilizing what resources they have. It's really cool. I'm a fan. I am a fan. Alright, I think I need to
Flooring samples. So this is the front mudroom area, and these were the two colors I determined I was thinking I wanted for this space. And I'm definitely leaning more toward the gray because the wood grain or the darker browns I think are gonna just be too much for this space. You have that exposed beam there, and I have a pile of that original lumber, and I want to build a bench to go across here for people to, to come in and sit. And I think with that color dark brown up there and the bench being that same patina and color, and then having that in here, I think is just too much. So my thought process is to go with this guy here. And then in the primary bath, I've chose this guy here because I think it's gonna be a nice, bright, clean looking surface. And with it against the cabinet, that, you know, really makes the cabinet pop, which I think is really important. So if we can find a tile that has this color in it to go into the shower, I think that'll tie it all up. What I am thinking is if we take these two colors down to the basement. So let's say you park your car here, right? You come in this door, kick off your shoes, and you have this whole space here that I'm gonna be putting the LVP in. I'm thinking using that darker brown there, that's right next to the gray, through the rest of the floor to that far wall, and then using the gray as you first enter to create a visual break and have more of like a mudroom space here as well. And then you have your staircase going up. So that gray will terminate right at the staircase, and then the darker brown will be throughout the rest of the living space, if you will. And I was gonna do that same bench detail in this corner above the gray. Yep, that's what I think I'm gonna do. The rebel, yeah. More, 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 more. With the rebel, yeah. There it is. Seven. Close enough. And never know where I missed it. My heart has always lost it. Oh, sharp minds. Where did you
possible, I think this room is even more echoey now. Well, so the Luan, why did I do it? It really helps out with the differences in height of the boards that's underneath here. You know, we have Advantech, OSB, 3/4 planks, some of the planking's even all the way up to 1 inch. You know, it's all rough cut. So this really helps to kind of take those high spots that are uneven and make them more gradual, and spreads them out. So that really helps for the underfoot feel, that whole princess in a pea routine again. And it'll make it a lot easier for the carpet guy to come in. He has a nice clean slate to work with. And yeah, we'll tackle that side probably next week, just that entranceway. I want that to be one full continuous piece. I have a lot of obstacles to overcome in that door threshold. There's 2 different elevations to worry about. So it's gonna be a bit tricky, and you know, as you can see, the sun is going down, which means it's getting pretty late, and it's Friday, so you know, I wanna go home. Well, I guess with all that said, I'll bid you adieu, and thank you once again for stopping by High Peaks Home.